What's going on, guys? So for this video, we're going to talk about the Reserve Bank of New Zealand's rate decision, okay? With the surprise cut that they did, we did do this live. So make sure you guys follow, subscribe, actually like this video, share it with a fellow trader, just so that you can understand how these rate decisions move and how it impacts the currency. And then we're going to talk about what to anticipate moving forward. Okay, so for those that don't know, this is the private group inside the Discord. I do these updates every day. We trade live. It's not a signal group, okay? Like what we focus on, I want elite traders to join this private community that want to grow, that want to learn about the markets, that want to help others, right? Learn how to make the best tradable opportunities for yourself. And the goal for you guys is going to be like here in the testimonies, as you can just see, like everybody is doing extremely well. You can just see here, making 1,400. Gold has been an amazing opportunity for these traders making withdrawals. This could be you. Trader achievement, passing a prop firm is insane. And I want this for everybody to learn how to do this for yourself. You can see we got another past challenge. So this is the goal. When you learn this type of information, this is what's going to separate you. All right, guys. Link is in the bio. Also, courses included to private members. So if you want to dive deeper into learning fundamentals, you could also get access to that too. So before the rate decision, right, it was a 50-50 chance between a 50 basis point cut and a 25. So right here, just a quick preview. If we're already expecting a cut to happen, which is the reason for a weaker NZD currency. But one of the problems is they are at the end of their cutting cycle. So they was 2 cuts away from hitting their actual goal of 2.5% in rates, right? That's the actual target where they want rates to go. So understanding that part, we was anticipating strength anyway, but I was leaning more towards the RBA to say that during the rate decision, right? But what we ended up getting was a 50 basis point cut, which was a surprise, right? We haven't seen a 50 basis point cut in pretty much no central banks, but this one was a pretty big one. So when we got that 50 basis point cut, right, first we saw that 2.50, we was expecting 2.75, right? It was at 3% earlier. So when they did a 2.50, right, you could just look at the moves right here. You could just see like there's this bearish price action just impulsively, just NZD weakness immediately from that rate decision, right? Because the 50 was just, and it wasn't just a 50. They also, during the rate decision, what they also said is that they're opening the door, right, for more cuts if needed. So hints of further easing was also the problem. That's what allowed the NZD weakness to go immediately from that rate decision, was that hint of further rate cuts if needed. So that means that they're opening the door for additional rate cuts. So that is also dovish as well, okay? So why did they cut, right? Is a good example. Why did New Zealand cut? Because growth is weak, inflation is within 1 to 3%, but it's still near the top, but it's expected to come back down to 2% overall, especially in Q1 of 2026, right? Especially if inflation continues to push lower. The dovish meeting, right, overall open to further reductions if needed was the key takeaway from this actual meeting. Plus the surprise 50 basis point cut, right? All of that signals for additional downside moving forward. The problem that we're facing is like, okay, but how come we see reversals, right? We see the moves actually recover from these pairs, right? Is because they're at the end of their cutting cycle, right? So will we understand this when it comes to fundamentals, being at the end of their cutting cycle, right? Eventually now, there's probably going to be a wait and see game to see, okay, let's see where inflation goes afterwards, right? That's when we could determine the next move. Because as an investor, investors want to take advantage of a weaker currency against a stronger currency based off of their interest rates. If we see that New Zealand is not cutting rates no more, why, as a long-term investor, would I want to keep selling New Zealand if now the next way they're going to go is up, right? Because now we're going to probably deal with higher inflation eventually. If that's the case, now don't New Zealand have to hold rates or hike rates eventually if that comes, right? So that's a key reason for the pullbacks. But now it's just going to lead into more indecision, okay? Because what we're going to have to focus on moving forward is going to be NZD inflation expectations, right? Are we gonna, if we see that inflation is still heading towards 2% or lower, that will be additional reasons to start looking for a weaker NZD currency. We're gonna look at GDP data, labor data. We need to see slacking in New Zealand's growth economy. If we see weaker labor and GDP, that's another reason to look for more weakness in NZD. Also, housing and credit conditions, we want to see those numbers coming lower, along with China getting weaker growth data, because we understand that New Zealand and China are strong trade partners, right? So if China struggles, New Zealand struggles. And then if you're looking at pairs like NZD USD, if we get a stronger dollar, right, that would trigger more sells for NZD USD. Okay, so that's the stuff that we're going to be paying attention to moving forward, right? So I just want you guys to be aware, just to get the understanding of what happened during this actual rate decision, because I still like the idea of weaker NZD currency because they did open the door for additional rate cuts. So they're still willing to be more dovish if economic data confirms it, right? But it also depends because New Zealand is at the end of their cutting cycle, which could allow markets to not want to continue to sell no more. They're probably easing off the brakes on selling that NZD currency because they're now at the end of their cutting cycle. So those are the things that you're going to have to pay attention to moving forward, guys. Hopefully this video was helpful. Please give me a like if you like this video. Send it with a fellow trader. And if you guys have any other questions or concerns, let me know in the comments or message me on Instagram. All right, guys? Love you guys. Peace.